All right, so you can see the compost pile is really starting to take on a certain appearance. I like the instead of the 4 foot by 4 foot, I like the 4 foot by 8 foot because it starts looking like a giant peanut instead of a square box. But takes a lot more resources in order to get that kind of probably filling up a pickup truck 3 times, maybe 24, 30 banana boxes of vegetables in order to build a 4 foot by 8 foot by 4 foot compost pile. So you can see if you become, I've talked about it before, but if you can see that there's a plastic bag sitting there to a trash can, and if you're composting, you're going to it's going to come front and center to you, the amount of plastic that's getting discarded every day into the landfill site. And when you're a composter, part of your job, if you're resourcing out of trash barrels or have a good relationship with your farmer or whatever, to get his garbage, his refuse, his fruit and vegetable scraps. Restaurants are hard to deal with. They usually throw everything in there. They don't really want to be bothered. And once you have a relationship set up, you have to be constant with that, and you have to be thankful, and because if you have a good resource for getting fruit and vegetable scraps, and you make it and you taint that relationship with the individual that owns the place, you ruin it for every composter down the road, because they just give up on us. So you know, if you decide to have a relationship with somebody to get the initial food scraps that you need, because really, once again, if you're going to build a pile, you can't do it in 6-inch increments. It'll go into an anaerobic, no air situation, and then it'll go into a much like sauerkraut, which is not the prime example for a food source for plants. You can dig a hole and bury it away from the plants, and once the microbes work it over, then it'll become digestible to plants. But when it's anaerobic, it's actually toxic to your plants. So anyway, in the foreground, I've got the trash can and the plastic bag. So the advantage of the plastic bag is I go to the main large companies that sell wood and things like that. Home Depot particularly, I like their plastic bag. It's a thicker bag. It's built for heavy duty, and I get probably anywhere from 6 to a dozen uses out of per bag. There's art on how to use the bag, but the best thing about it is I can have a dozen or 2 dozen or 4 dozen trash cans all sitting and occupying the space that one trash can would occupy. And so a little bit of special handling, and then cleaning up, especially if it's got food waste in it. You want to kind of wash the inside and the outside and dry them, put them away, and you can use them. So there's a few little things that happens with plastic bags, and I'll show you how that works. So just remember that when you're loading your bag up, this is light for me, I'm tall, and so just remember, it's not how much it takes to pick it up, it's how much does it take to pick it up, get it up arm height in order to be able to pour it into your bin. So build the bag to your body strength situation. And then we all seem to have this thing about tying it, double knotting it, triple knotting it. I'm not sure what that all comes from. It's just something that we all do, one of those stupid human tricks. Anyway, it's really difficult to undo a knot that's been tied 2 or 3 times. And then one of the neighbors going by, very curious, not too many people have compost piles in their front yard, but that's what this customer wanted, and so that's what we're doing. Down the road, 3 houses is a beautiful waterfall, and he feels as though this is just as beautiful as the waterfall, if not more effective and sincere to an individual wanting to take control and take responsibility for his parcel of land. If we all adopted that, wouldn't that be a transformation on what present day situation? Anyway, off to the lecture, back off to the lecture. I usually come down low to get the air out, and then I spin the bag. Get it up pretty nice, and then what I do is a slip knot. So I'm going in and pushing this through, but not all the way, and then snugging it up a bit. Now try to remember, if even with a slip knot, if you snug it up and you carry it like this, it'll get pretty tight and hard to undo. So try not to carry it by the knot, carry it like this, stockpile it. You can get a lot of vegetables over a period of several days. The bugs won't get into them. I'm not finding rodent issues or any of that sort of thing. So we're not finished with the pile by any means. It's a, you can see that I'm almost 3/4 of the way, 2/3 of the way finished, but I've run out of vegetables and materials. So I'm going to have to come back and top it off. I would do that anyway. After approximately a month, you'll have a good shrinkage, so the heat buildup starts within 24 hours. You can get an explosion of heat, and life forms are taking over in the pile, so you'll get a drop of 6 inches or a foot just within a few weeks after your build. So usually what I do is I come in after that and top it off. So in this case, I'm going to have to top it off 2 or 3 times, or build up 1.5 to 2 feet more material I'll need to bring on my second build. And then once I've done that second build, then I'm finished. I try to stop adding anything. I've got a nice little device that prints out UV resistant. It's a compression unit. I'll show you that, how that works. And I use the old discarded blinds, the roll up with plastic things. They're UV. If you get them wide enough and long enough, then you can just plant that right into your compost pile, which is a nice way of keeping track. It's a great way of identifying ID for plants. So what I did is just went to the blind store and asked them for some old samples, and they came back with a couple little booklets of samples that are old resistant. They're about that long, about that wide. I can put my plant identification, stick it right in the ground. I don't have to worry about the date I planted it, the day I built the compost pile, and if I want to, I can add material. What I add, fruit, vegetables. I did one with pumpkin, and that was a disaster. Strictly pumpkin and oak leaves. Didn't work. Same principles. Why it didn't work, I don't understand. But anyway, I can track that sort of thing. I don't have to rely on memory or another log. I can keep it all on my little Venetian blind ID. And again, like I said, it's great for identification of your plants. It grows in the ground, seems to last forever. You get the UV cartridge with whatever colors you want, red, black, or black on white, or white on black. There's all sorts of varieties, so you can have a little artsy fun with it. And so it's a very functional device, and holds up in the sun and carries on. So I'm just about finished with my manure. I've been putting my black sea kelp and the liquid humate and whatever other ingredients I've been adding in a liquid form. I just squish that on. If I can show you that, I don't think this is the humate. So I just sprinkle. Black sea kelp. And a product I like, the V is gone, Vermiplex. I really like that product for any number of things, foliar spray. I'm going on it pretty heavy because I'm putting it in the compost pile. So that's how that works, and that gives me an extra edge as far as getting those micronutrients that may be hard to find otherwise. Okay, till the next time.